Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Tell Your Story. I'm your host, Todd Nesloni, the Director of Culture and Strategic Leadership at TEPSA. And each episode, I look to bring you a different guest who has encouraged, inspired, or challenged me in one way or another and invite them on to tell some of their story in hopes that it inspires you to tell some of yours. I'm thrilled this episode to have Kristina Grant on with me. Kristina, thank you so much for being here. Tell everybody a little bit about who you are.
Hi, yes, thank you so much for having me. I love watching everyone's story every weekend, and it's been more recent as what we're currently in, but I love that. Like you said, my name is Kristina Grant, and I have been in education for 12 years. And I have my master's from Texas State University in San Marcos, Texas, in curriculum and instruction. And my passion is working with teachers to help them be their best selves so that they can be their students' best selves. But currently I work with Reagan Tunstall from Tunstall's Teaching Tidbits, and we develop curriculum, we develop resources, we go around the country and present to teachers on guided math, but then also incorporating the SEL part of math, because that's a huge component of being able to manage themselves and manage the classroom and all of that. And so I work closely with Reagan, and we go around the country and present to teachers and schools and districts and all across the nation as well.
I love it. Well, Kristina, whenever I interview an educator, one of the first questions I always love to ask is your path into education. Because I know there's two groups of people. There's some who grew up always knowing teaching was for them, and there's others who are like, I fell into it and fell in love with it. And so when did you know you were going to be a teacher?
Okay, I knew I wanted to be a teacher in utero. I think when in there, I was like, I think this is what I was meant to do. But no, honestly, growing up, that's all I've ever wanted. I can't even think of a time that I didn't want to be a teacher. And I know it was solidified after being born a teacher is when I stepped into my kindergarten classroom for the very first time. There were words above the door that said, anyone who enters here is loved and will do their best and respect and all of those kinds of things. And I remember thinking, oh my goodness, that is meaning that I have to rise up to do this. And so I just was like, I love the way that made me feel. And then stepping into my kindergarten classroom, I fell in love with Mrs. McIntyre, and I wanted to be Mrs. McIntyre my entire life. So
did you know elementary was the route for you?
Yes, because of Mrs. McIntyre. I did in college, a speaker from the middle school came and gave a sad story about how middle school students are like the ugly stepsisters kind of thing, where everyone loves the little kids in elementary. Everyone, high school, it's like, okay, they're adults. I'm going to work with them to get their career started or to go on to see what they're going to do for the rest of their lives. But the middle school is where they kind of get left behind. And so I was super, it tugged at my heartstrings. And so I was like, I think I'm going to change my major. So I went to my advisor, and she was like, okay, how about you volunteer first, and then if that's where you want to go, then do that. And so I did volunteer in middle school for a semester, and then I chose to stay in elementary school.
I love, well, you need to know where your strengths are and where you're meant to be. And clearly elementary was your happy place because, you loved it. You stuck there. And, what is one of the things that you feel like you learn the most about yourself from teaching?
I think learning about yourself is is a lot of that you are like an actor, an actress. Every single day you walk into something new. And no matter, I'm not saying that you have to be fake. I don't mean that, but you do have to go in and put a lot of things that are in your own life, in your kids' lives, in your students' lives, all of those things you have to kind of forget about for a minute and give them the best version of you, and do what's necessary to allow them to grow and change and just all of that. So I feel like teachers are one of the best actors and actresses on the planet, because every day we pretend like everything's okay. And a lot of teachers right now are doing that on Zoom and Google Classroom and everything, that everything is great and everything, and we're here to learn and I'm here to help you. And so I really feel that teaching has taught me that I can be an actress, that I am an actress.
Well, you know, and something that I want to ask about from moving from there is, you know, I completely agree with you. I think that teachers are the best actors and actresses out there, because we have to put on a show every day to maintain engagement and to give the best to our kids. And so, you know, but you do a lot of public speaking now, which is a lot of acting as well, but it's still, it's a little more terrifying than being in front of kids. And so talk to me about that transition. Like, was that pretty easy for you to stand in front of adults, or was it like, oh, I got to really get used to this? Or like, how did that happen?
Yeah, good question. Actually, I am my father's daughter, hands down, and I love to talk to anyone. So I think that it was just kind of natural for me. I love interpersonal, like I love to get to know people. I love to be with people. That's why like right now being in social isolation is a little rough for us as extroverts, but to really, I love being with people. And so I feel like presenting is I'm with them. I'm not so much up there standing talking to them, but I'm just there with them in communication. But I do have to say that I feel like going from teaching to presenting, I feel like I've moved from actress to like stand-up comedian kind of thing. Like you have to keep them engaged in another way and have to laugh. And so that's really where I feel like now I'm like, hold on, let me watch some stand-up comedians, pull some, some content for when Reagan and I are presenting, so we can.
And I think that's so true. You know, adults are such more difficult audience than kids are, because kids, like, I can act silly and I can sing little songs, and even if you're a terrible singer, they're like, sing it again. Where adults are like, give me the mic.
Yeah, exactly. Or they just like if they don't laugh at certain points, it's like, okay, that one's going away. That joke is gone, never again.
And and what I love about this is, I think about, as teachers, when we're talking to other educators, sometimes people can be like, well, if teaching was such your passion, why did you move into this or do that? And when I often think about it is, I look at ourselves as humans, and it's like our passions can change as we grow, and it doesn't mean we love something less. It means we want to pursue it. And I think of even my own path, that people were like, well, you were such a good teacher, you love teaching, why'd you become a principal? And I said, well, that is my new classroom. I'm working with adults now, but somebody has to help the adults help the kids. And then when I transition that into my role now as a director and as a speaker, it's like my classroom's different.
Yeah,
but that's like saying a college professor isn't the same as a kindergarten teacher. And they're very different. But I mean, really, all kids are kids, and adults are just big kids. And so do you kind of look at that the same for your own environment now?
I do. And I've been asked that too, because all I've ever wanted to be was a teacher. And I really thought I was going to like die at my desk. Like that would be how I would go out, grading papers or something. But I also feel that when opportunities come, there's a strategic point. And if you don't take that, then you'll never know. Yeah. And so I think when a door opens and you take that, I mean, it could close and it's okay. Then you go back to what you were doing, or something else that makes you happy. And like you said, your passions can change. So I think that this is just a new path that I'm on, to be able to help more students than I've ever helped ever. I think to also help teachers, because I know being a teacher, how much pressure's on you, from yourself, from others, from parents, but really ourselves. And so I just, I feel like this is now where I can help teachers, and I love to be a helper. Like that's one of my passions, is just to be a helper. And so I think that this new path allows me to do that. But if this doesn't, I don't want to say pan out, but you know what I mean? Like when this ends, then I go back to the classroom, which I love and is my passion as well. So I really can't, I can't say that either one's better or either one's worse. They're both wonderful and equal. And I will just keep going through doors until there's no more doors.
Well, and I think that's a great point of, if you ever make the decision to go back in the classroom, you're never going to view it as a downgrade or something you don't love doing, because it's still your passion.
Yeah.
And so that's what I love about this, is that, we tell our kids to go after what they dream. And as we become adults, sometimes we dream crazy dreams and we want to go chase that for a little bit to see what it'll pan out to be.
Right.
And so, you're doing a lot of work right now with Reagan Tunstall, like you said. How did you two meet?
Okay. So we met back in 2009. I actually was going for my master's program, and through that program, they placed you at a school, and I was placed at the same school as Reagan, and I was set, I was possibly going to be teaching kindergarten or first grade. I didn't know which one at the time. And then I got to the school and they were like, you're going to teach first grade, and here's your classroom, and there you go. And I was placed across the hall from Reagan, and everyone, the way she is the way she's always been. But her classroom was perfect, wonderful, loved it. And I was going to school all day for my master's, and then I was like having to set up my classroom at night, and my wonderful husband was helping me. But we would go into her classroom and be like, that one, that I love, that on the wall, that on the wall, okay, and then recreate it. And she was so awesome that she would be like, here, I can help you. And so she would help me. But anyway, she just quickly became my mentor on campus, and we just instantly became friends, best friends. It was just, God puts people in your path that you need at that time, and her and I just clicked, and we got like lunch duty together and recess duty together and all of those good things. And there was one defining moment that we were actually sitting on my carpet after school, late. I think it was like 6 or 7, teachers. And we were making this penguin chart for the next day that the kids would be working on, a big giant one. And this is pre-Pinterest, this is pre-blogs, this is pre-everything. So we were hand making this penguin poster. And we were like, oh my goodness, how awesome is this? That like, wouldn't it be so cool if we could work together and like create something like this for teachers to use and do? And we were like, wow, that's so cool. And we both remember saying that, but that will never happen.
Yeah.
And we were like, okay. And then her kids were like, is it time? Can we go home now? And so then we were like, yes, we'll pack it on up. And we went, and they went to their house. I went back home, and never again did we speak of that. And until later on, as things evolved, and then Reagan started her blog, and she'll even tell you that she would come to me to make labels. She couldn't make a label, but make really, really good labels. No, but it evolved, and now we get to work together full time and create content and curriculum and resources for teachers.
I love that. And you know, what I love most about that story is the best partnerships are the ones that were unexpected, that you didn't even know you needed that person in your life. And when they come in and it's just that fit, and it's like you create magic, and it's so much fun working together that it doesn't feel like work. And so I love that.
And like I've said over and over, that if I would have planned it, it would not have happened that way. Mm-hmm. And so I think that that's a huge thing, is God just allowed that to happen and put her and I together at places when we needed it the most, and then it grew from there.
Now, Kristina, you also do some running. You like taking care of your physical health. Have you always been a runner? Because let me tell you, I always tell people, I hate running, and I don't run unless I'm being chased or there's like one taco left in the taco truck and I got to get there first. Like, so when did running become a thing for you?
No. Running, no, and you can ask Coach Peterson from kindergarten. I was not a runner at all. In fact, like terrified, like the pacer. I don't know if anyone knows that thing, but it's like a physical fitness test they do in elementary school. And you have to run. I would wake up in belly aches because that was that day in PE was we were going to be running to these little beep, beep, beep. No, it is not something I was born at all with. But actually, the year that I was working with Reagan, I was placed across the hall from her. I read a book about being healthy and things, and over Christmas break, and I came back and I was like to school, and I was like, I'm vegan now. And she was like, what? And I was like, I'm vegan now, and I'm going to start running. And she's like, where are you going to run? And I was all outside. And so this book just kind of lit a fire in me over Christmas break. And I was like, this is how it's going to be. Well, then she's like, well, let me read the book. So I gave her the book. She read it over the weekend, came back, and she was a vegan runner as well. So we just kind of started it together. So that's when it started. And we would go run a mile and then tell each other we ran a mile, and I guess text each other. I don't even remember if it was text or call. It might have been calling each other on the phone, but that happened. And then I, because of school and things, kind of didn't, I mean, I've always loved working out, but didn't stay with the running too much. Ran a half marathon, and then just, but over this, 10 years, it's something that I just know I feel better when I do. And I now know I can be a runner. I actually can. And runner, it doesn't mean that you have to be at a certain time or a certain pace or a certain distance. It just means you get out there and you move. And so everyone can be a runner, because it's just to get out there and move. So it's something that I do now, I say I enjoy it because I like the after feel. But during it, no.
See, I love speed walking. Like, I can do that, but not the running. That just not for me. But are you still vegan?
Well, no, I'm not. But I was vegan for about 3 years, and then vegetarian for about 2 more than that. But now I just try to eat as healthy as I can. I don't particularly like meat, chicken and things I like, but I don't prefer beef, and so it's just something that I do tend to eat more of a vegan diet, but I also do eat meat too. I just want to eat healthy and make my body feel as best as it can.
I think that's great. Well, Kristina, one thing that I talk about often on these Tell Your Stories is, it doesn't matter who I'm interviewing, whether it's a pre-service teacher, a first-year teacher, or somebody who's been in it, or a speaker, any of those kind of things, I think all of us deal with that idea of doubt that begins to creep in, or comparison. When you see all the great things others are doing online, you start thinking, well, my stuff sucks, or I'm not doing what they're doing, so I must not be doing enough. When those thoughts start entering your head, how do you keep from doubt taking over?
That's really good, because I know it can creep in quickly, and then it overwhelms very, very suddenly and a lot. I think that the best way to deal with that is to have people around you, surround yourself with people who lift you up, and who are honest with you as well. If you are in some way maybe not being the best version of yourself, that can help you be the best version. But a lot with the comparison, I think being with people who are in your corner, who will root for you and just cheer you on, I think that's huge. And then lean on them when you are feeling that you aren't adequate in this made up space that we've kind of created. And so, but people are doing amazing things. So also to celebrate that and say, wow, like some people, there are incredible teachers out there and incredible people out there doing wonderful things. And so I think it's also just to take it back and be like, good for them, and be happy instead of jealous, which I know is hard. But I think just being like, wow, they did a great job, as well as I'm doing a great job on this and this, and it might be something different than what they are.
Well, there were two things you said there that really stuck out to me. And one of those is the importance of celebrating others. Like you said, there's some people doing great work. And the more you celebrate others, the better you feel regardless. And so that's powerful. But then the other thing you said that I think was really important that I wanted to reiterate is surround yourself with people who will not only encourage you, but also remind you of who you are. Because, I think of people in my life, you got to be careful not to have the people who are just like, you're amazing. Because they also need to tell you, shut up and quit saying that. Like, why are you thinking that about yourself? Like, that's not true. Here's where you really are. Like, I need that realness as well as the encouragement. So I love that you said that as well.
And I think that that's a big thing, because you don't want just yes people around you. You need people that will say yes, but and tell you something a little bit better to grow with. And so I think that having those people around you really do make you a better person, and
I completely agree.
Elevate your own whatever you're working towards.
I love that. Well, Kristina, one question I always love to end all of these conversations on is, as people, there are certain things that we hold really dear to ourselves or are really deep and ingrained in our hearts, and that we just hope other people know or understand those things. So for anybody listening today, what would your one thing be that you wish more people knew or understood?
I think that taking care of yourself is so huge, and especially now that we have a lot of time with ourselves, is taking care of you. I think that whatever that looks like for you, and I'm not just saying that you need a bubble bath and a face mask, but I'm saying if that is reading, or in the Word, or music, or whatever makes you truly at peace and happy. I think that that's a huge thing, and taking time to do that for yourself before you can take care of a loved one, or your own children, or the many children in your classroom. So I think teachers, we said it over and over, they give, and it's hard for them to say that I deserve to have my own time, or I deserve to be to feel the same way. So I think pouring into them and lifting them up, and also just saying take care of yourself, and just make it so that you can feel the best you can be.
I love that. And that is a beautiful way to end this conversation. Well, Kristina, I love the work you're doing so much. And I love that you are exactly who you portray yourself to be, which is always such a big factor in the people I choose to surround myself with. So thank you for coming on Tell Your Story today.
Thank you so much for having me, Todd. I really appreciate it, and it's been so fun. And I love everyone's comments in the bottom. Brianna and April and Michael and Reagan, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
And thank you everybody for listening or watching another episode of Tell Your Story. Remember, you can check out past episodes on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube, wherever you get it, it's there. I hope today's conversation with Kristina has encouraged you to get out there and tell your story, because every story matters.